What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video and a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a sit down and talk. I suppose this video is kind of two parts mushed into one. Firstly is why EA Sports just pissed me off, and secondly is why UFC 5 could be great, but I just don't think it will be. There's gonna be a few things I bring up throughout this video that some of you may not know. I mentioned a couple of these things on a stream a few months back, and people were shocked at this information. So I'm gonna be talking about it a little bit, and yeah, let's just get into it. And if you guys, have any thoughts, just let me know in the comments down below. If EA pisses you off, if you've got thoughts for UFC 5 and what could make it better, then let me know in the comments. But yeah, I'm gonna be giving my thoughts on it. So I just want to talk about it. Just want to kind of sit down and rant with you guys. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, right off the bounce, I'm not going to say, look at Undisputed 3. I'm not going to do that. I'll mention it a couple of times throughout this video, but I'm not just going to go, this is the perfect MMA game. Let's look at EA Sports' MMA, which is many years old. This is back when they were competing with Undisputed series. So Undisputed obviously had UFC, and EA Sports, THQ, sorry, had UFC, and EA Sports had their series MMA, which was just the one game, which was the Strikeforce, I believe, roster, as well as various rings they had. They had, different rings, different rules. This is EA, by the way. They had, 3 different rule sets, circular cage, normal cage, a ring. Good amount of variety just when it came to picking your fight. Now, if we look at things like the combo flow of EA Sports MMA, if we look at the ground and pound as well, obviously I have things coming up on screen as we talk. If you look at like the ground and pound as well, the real vicious, nasty ground and pound, regardless if you're in the standard MMA rule set or in the Valchudo, and various other rule sets that EA Sports MMA had, where you could kick a grounded opponent, much like Pride in the Undisputed series, where you could, knee in the head to a grounded opponent, or just the standard MMA where you just, lay down them punches, knees to the body kind of thing when they're down. Both the flow of the combos and the ground and pound is fast and brutal, and it's got a learning curve, but I've not seen anything like that by EA since. The closest we could say is UFC 2, and that's the flow of the combos. We have not seen any ground and pound. Maybe UFC 1, it's got a little bit of vicious ground and pound, but nothing that you'd write home about. Whereas EA Sports MMA, when people see that ground and pound, people go, fucking hell. No matter when I post videos, I've not seen anyone in any of the other EA Sports UFC games say, wow, that ground and pound looks awesome. Yes, people say UFC 1 ground and pound is better than UFC 4, but EA Sports MMA, the ground and pound needs to shock you, like, fuck me, this is brutal, like Undisputed does, and these ones just don't. Whereas EA Sports, their MMA game, that did. You could even argue the flow of the combos in UFC 1, UFC 2, and UFC 3 are all better than UFC 4. They seem to be getting further and further away from flowed combos, in my opinion. UFC 3 was a bit slower than UFC 4, so they did pick up that speed. But you can tell with UFC 4, they've definitely tried to appeal to a more realistic, but they've tried to appeal to more arcade, and they've just made this horrible mesh that just doesn't go well together. Now, I want to show you guys this screen right here. And this is one thing that I mentioned to people that they just didn't know. When you load up UFC 4, it comes up with this screen very briefly for about 5 seconds. And you can see it says, official UFC license product. The Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, Ultimate Fighting, Dana White's Contender Series, WFA World Fighting Alliance, Pride, Strikeforce, Octagon shape, related trademarks, and so on and so forth. Now, in UFC 4, we have the WFA in the career mode, even though it hasn't existed for ages. We have the Dana White's Contender Series in the career mode. We have Pride on the gloves for the calves. And I want to say we have Strikeforce gloves, but that could be a lie. I honestly don't know too well. But I know we have the Pride ones. So EA actually clearly has the rights to these because they have UFC. They have the rights to the Pride, to the Strikeforce, and yet they have not used the Pride rule sets. They have not done anything Strikeforce related. I know Strikeforce was just, I suppose some people would categorize Strikeforce as UFC, but not as popular. But even the Pride thing is something people want, man. Like, it's a whole new rule set. It changes the way you play the game. And they have all of these rights to them, as we saw from the Pride gloves. But yet they've done nothing. And people are saying that these Pride gloves are a setup for they're going to put the Pride mode in UFC 5. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe they're going to make an MMA game and then they're going to add a whole nother game mode with a whole new rule sets where they've then got to animate soccer kicks, stomps on the head, take away the elbows on the feet and elbows on the ground to the head from that mode, because in Pride you couldn't elbow. unless you could elbow to the body, but you couldn't elbow to the head. Not to mention, in UFC 4, we still don't have ground elbows. We cannot posture up and rain down elbows. You cannot knock someone out from the side control or the crucifix position. EA Sports really think that this is okay, where you can be in side control, elbow, 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 posture up to knee on belly, lay back down, elbow, 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 posture up to knee on belly. That is a fucking joke. That knee on belly thing is cool, but they've used it as such a I don't know, a fucking pole to lean on, where it's like, oh, we don't need this KO from, oh, guys, I knocked my mic over, like, you know, that annoys me. The knee on belly thing is so fucking annoying. The ground and pound as well in UFC 4 is shocking. The fact that you manually get pulled down, get pulled down by the game is a joke. You should be able to rain down strikes for as long as possible. In Undisputed 3, I hate to bring it up, in Undisputed 3, you have to reach for your opponent, grab the hand. In this game, it doesn't matter. You can rain down, I don't know what it is, 8 punches at most, and then you automatically get pulled back into their guard. When that happened, when I saw that showed me they literally want the ground game to be as spoon-fed, as casual-based new players as possible. They didn't want anything challenging about the ground game, which is why that ground and pound is so fucking stupid. Not to mention the submission game. Submission game in UFC 4 is so shit. Undisputed 3s, I hate to bring it up again, and even UFC 3 was better with the pushing. But Undisputed 3 had the one where you chase the other colour around, so you're red and they're blue, or vice versa, and you chase them around. It made sense because it was stamina based, it was stat based. If someone was really exhausted and beaten up and their head was hurt and they were tired and you had their back and you were hitting them with a few shots and then you locked in a rear naked choke, chances are your bar was going to be taking up half of the screen, their bar was going to be very big, so they couldn't escape you very well. And that made sense, because sometimes you see it in the UFC, sometimes there's just positions that people, when they're tired, they just cannot fight out of. I just don't get how you can make an MMA game and have this kind of stuff missing. I really don't. I think, like, pride stuff aside, I don't get how there are basic things like manual controlled ground and pound, like ground elbows that are, it's just, I have no faith in UFC 5. I will buy it, of course I will, but I have no faith in it. Not to mention, man, like with the customization, they added all the cheesiest shit like gladiator bundles, shit that looks like it's from Mortal Kombat. Like, it's funny because there's like some YouTubers that have made like Goku and Vegeta, and that, you know, like Diablo made Bowl Cut Boy, and like that content is really funny. But how can they add all that and people are like, okay, they don't have old school shoes that UFC fighters used to wear. They don't have boxing gloves. Like, yes, I appreciate like that you know you can't wear shoes in UFC anymore, but you also can't wear a lion's head and a gold chain. There is nothing that makes sense about that. Whereas like I've seen people say, well, they can't add shoes because that's not real. There's a gladiator bundle. You can wear a literal lion's head on your fucking curated fighter. It's just stupid. And there's 2 more things I want to address. This is about EA, really. The whole part was kind of about UFC 5. This last part's going to be about UFC 5 as well. UFC 4, I believe, was their best seller in terms of MMA. So UFC 1, 2, and 3 all done worse than UFC 4. There's no way they're going to suddenly turn it on their head and aim for more realism. I guarantee the ground game becomes more simple. The striking becomes more to and throw. We see it all the time. The high-level players are fun to watch, but most ranked matches are, you punch me, I punch you. And I know that's like, well, you're describing a fight, but it doesn't feel like there's any... in UFC 4, I never feel like I get to use my range unless I'm Tyson Fury. I always feel like it's just on the inside, straight, lead hook, uppercut, pull back, uppercut, hook. Oh, I've dropped him. Okay, he gets up. I missed. He caught me uppercut, hook, straight. Oh, I'm down. Like, the amount... Sometimes we watch fights where people are getting unloaded on. Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar is a perfect example. But in UFC 4, you can drop... Even at the start of a fight, if that person is not blocking properly, or not blocking at all, you can uppercut, hook, straight. Chances you're going to drop them. Or straight hook, uppercut, hook, you're going to drop them. I mean, we've seen people take severe damage in the UFC and be fine. Like, not fine, but, you know, they don't get dropped. Like, it's just so predictable. That's the problem that I have with the game. And one more thing that I want to point out that I hate about EA is the ESFL event that happened in Las Vegas at the HyperX Arena. They done an absolute sensational job and had absolutely no support from EA Sports. I think it's absolutely shit. Esports UFC 4 is only where it's at because of the content creators like Marshall Mind, Prioxus, and the ESFL and its top players like Romero, Zayaf, Suave, Jamie, those guys. That is the only, if ESFL didn't exist, UFC 4 would be a crumb of itself. And I think if there wasn't these creators like Marshall Mind, the game would be a crumb of itself as well. They'd actually have to work hard. My only hope is that someone else makes an MMA game, so these guys have competition. Which is never a bad thing. Competition amongst game creation is always good, in my opinion, because that forces companies to work harder. But, you know, I just wanted to just talk about this because as much as I want UFC 5 and I will cover it when like news starts to drop and I will make videos on it when it drops, I don't have much faith in it, if I'm honest. And if I'm wrong, I'll happily be wrong. People are like, oh, if you're wrong, you're going to be embarrassed. I'm not. If I'm wrong and they make a very realistic MMA game with the best features of their old EA Sports MMA, their old UFC games, they take things from Undisputed, they eliminate UFC 4, and they make a solid UFC game, I'll be the first to say, I am wrong. Fucking hell, we have a good UFC game. Trust me, I'll be the first to admit that because I just want a good UFC game, but I just have no faith in it. But yeah, so EA Sports pissed me off. I don't have much faith in UFC 5. I will be buying it so you guys don't have to, and I'll be telling you if it's worth buying or not. But we'll have to wait and see. But if not, you can wait a year and it'll be free on PlayStation Plus. So, yeah, that's always a choice. But, you know, it is what it is, guys. I just thought I'd talk about it. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.